Welcome back. Rangers beat the Orioles 11-8 today. Texas unbeaten in the postseason, up 2-0 in the best-of-5 division series. Game 3 and a chance to sweep is Wednesday night at Globe Life Field in Arlington. I talked today with Rangers TV play-by-play voice Dave Raymond about today's Texas win and the state of this series.
Really, the pitching has been really good to this point in the postseason. Today wasn't the best showing, but it has been the story of this offense. This lineup has just been grinding it out. What was it today? 11 walks in today's game. They still struck out some, but 11 walks, you're putting a lot of pressure on opposing pitchers like that. And we saw some of the power, some of the extra base hits come in. But for a team returning home now in this postseason, the headline, probably Evan Carter, right? I mean, this guy's stolen the show. This guy's been everything. So I don't know. There's a lot of different directions they could go, but right now everything's looking up for this Rangers team. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, full count Carter, an incredibly patient kid who just came up to the big leagues a month ago today and seemingly reaches base every time he gets up there in the postseason. Mitch Garver, on the other hand, a veteran who has really come through for this team. Bochy talked not long ago about how Garver kind of carried this offense when the other guys were struggling. He comes through with the huge grand slam today.
Yeah, when things were getting a little thin there in September and this Rangers team was wobbling a little bit, I think the one guy who was really consistent, especially when it comes to driving in runs and that sort of thing, was Garver. He had huge home run and RBI numbers in September. And when, again, you're talking about Adolis Garcia was down for a bit, we called up Evan Carter, but they were searching. And Garver was the guy who was there every day. And then as this postseason showed up, Garver took a back seat a little bit there to Robbie Grossman for a couple of games. And I think people were getting, some fans, let's just say, were maybe a little frustrated with that. They thought, well, where's Garver? Now, he had slowed down toward the end of the year. So today he gets his shot. Well, what did he do with it? The grand slam, the 5 RBIs, huge day for him. And I think we're pretty well assured of seeing a lot more of him.
And now this thing comes back here. First time the Rangers will host a playoff game in the new ballpark. You obviously called dozens of games at Globe Life Field this year for this team as it became apparent that this year could be something pretty special. What sort of environment do you expect on Tuesday night?
Yeah, I expect it to be really loud. And I would expect, the weather's going to be interesting. I would gather that they'd be in a range where maybe they could open it if they want. It is a really cool scene with it open. But my guess is that they have it closed because they'll want that noise and that atmosphere, that electricity. And I'm just hoping that we have some of the same kind of energy that we saw in Baltimore. Even though things didn't go the Orioles' way, man, those fans were up and into it pitch by pitch. The Rangers took them out a little bit today for a good chunk of the game. But even in the opener, man, they were dialed in and really in tune to every pitch, every out, every little situation. I'm hoping we see some of that. For this game on Tuesday. I think we will see some of that. This is a fan base that have been waiting a little while for this. They've got a really good team right now, so far 4-0 in this postseason, and I'm expecting a pretty high-energy crowd. Let's face it, there's a possibility of a clinch on Tuesday, and if not Tuesday, then on Wednesday, and I would trust that Rangers fans would be pretty interested in seeing some of that.
How big of a believer in momentum are you? That the Fox broadcasters, Davis and Smoltz, they're trying to keep the interest of the audience. You know how that goes. But they're talking about, hey, if the Orioles can chip away, they bring some momentum back to Arlington. And certainly, Baltimore got to the Texas bullpen today. Can that carry over into a game 3?
I mean, maybe. I know. I've tried the same trick, right? I've looked at the same thing. The baseball people always tell you that your momentum is only as good as your next day's starting pitching. And honestly, the way things work out in this postseason for the Rangers has been ideal. I don't think they could have set it up a whole lot better, given the health situation. But the Orioles are thin. They have pretty much thrown their best two so far in this series, where the Rangers now have Eovaldi going on Tuesday. So I think they feel really good about that, especially the way he threw in Tampa. If he can come anywhere close to that, that will take any momentum that the Orioles feel like they have, I think, out pretty quickly. And if this Rangers team keeps clicking offensively, then Katie bar the door. The way things have gone. I mean, they trailed today briefly, right? The Orioles scored 2 runs in the first inning, and the Rangers were down there for all of 5 minutes. That's been it this postseason. That was the only moment where they trailed so far since we left Seattle. So I would suspect that they'll be ready to go and amped up on Tuesday. And if they can put that pressure on early, then you can forget any momentum that the Orioles might have gathered, let's say, in that ninth inning today.
Yeah, and you mentioned Eovaldi. We saw the Eovaldi we were used to seeing for much of the season in his last outing. So we'll see if he can keep that going.
Well, that and Dunning, right? Dunning threw to 8 batters in game 1. We fully expected Dunning to start that game. He did not. So now you figure he's available and probably at full strength should anything either happen to Eovaldi or if they need a starter for game 4. So the Rangers are set up really well all of a sudden for pitching in the series.